Get off my bench, old-timer.
I'm just sitting here, son.
Don't call me son. Who do you think you father, one-eyed old rat?
Let go of my shirt, please.
You're driving me crazy, you old fossil. Want me to fix that other eye so it matches?
Don't say that.
Teach him some manners. This old dog thinks he can talk back to me.
You sure about that, son?
This is the story of Marcus Bell, and the morning a group of young men picked the wrong old man to mess with. Marcus Bell had lived on Elmhurst Lane for 41 years. Same house, same porch, same cracked front steps he'd never gotten around to fixing. The neighborhood had shifted around him over the decades. New fences, new faces, new money edging in from the east side. But Marcus never left. He stayed because this was the ground where Grace had planted her roses. And even though Grace had been gone 9 years, those roses still opened every April like clockwork. Marcus was 74 now, slow to get moving in the mornings. His left eye still took in the world just fine. His right eye saw nothing. Hadn't since 1984, a detached retina from a punch that never should have landed, in a fight that never should have happened. Yet that was a long time ago. To most people on Elmhurst Lane, Marcus was just a quiet old man who swept his stretch of sidewalk at 6 Ivory A. p.m. and hauled Mrs. Delgado's groceries every Tuesday. Nobody knew about the 23 professional fights. Nobody knew about the middleweight championship in a shoebox under his bed, wrapped in one of Grace's old scarves. Yet nobody knew that the name The Shadow had once made grown men cross to the far side of the gym rather than share a ring with him. Marcus never brought it up. When people asked about the eye, he just said glaucoma. Simpler that way. Every morning at 7ish sharp, he made the 4-block walk to Ridgeview Park, carrying a canvas duffel packed with 2 pairs of boxing gloves, a jump rope, and hand wraps so worn the elastic had given up years ago. He'd set up near the basketball courts, under the old oak tree where the roots had split the concrete into something that almost passed for a ring. It wasn't much to look at, but it was his, and for a couple of hours every morning it was the only place in the world where the years fell away from his shoulders. Kids had started showing up 3 years back. First it was Andre, 12 years old and angry at the whole world. Then Tanya, 10 and quicker than any of them. Then came Malik, the one who kept Marcus coming back morning after morning. 10 years old, small for his age, with a stutter that turned even simple words into obstacles, and a father who'd been in prison since Malik was 4. His grandmother dropped him at the park every morning before her shift at the hospital started. She couldn't afford a sitter. Most days she couldn't afford much of anything. The first day, Malik watched from behind the water fountain. The second day, he stood a little closer. The third day, Marcus out a pair of gloves. Want to try? Malik shook his head. That's all right, Marcus said. He'll still be here tomorrow. It took 2 weeks. One morning, Malik finally walked up, held out his hands, and let Marcus wrap them. His fingers were trembling. Marcus pretended not to notice. Plant your feet like this, Marcus said, showing him the stance. Left foot forward, right foot back, weight balanced evenly. The same stance his own trainer, Otis Reeves, had drilled into him 50 years earlier in a basement gym in Philadelphia. Now hands up, protect what matters. Malik raised his fists. They barely reached his own chin. Good, Marcus said. Feel good. Malik smiled, the first time his grandmother had seen that smile in months. After that, Malik showed up 6 mornings a week. He learned the jab first, then the cross, then how to slip a punch by tilting his head 2 inches to the left. No more, no less. Marcus taught the way Otis had taught him. Patient, quiet, 1 piece at a time. He never raised his voice, never pushed too hard. Then Malik got frustrated and threw the gloves down. Marcus picked them back up, set them on the bench, and said, "They'll be here tomorrow." Ilk always came back. What Marcus was really teaching wasn't boxing. It was the thing underneath it. The belief, Nike, that your body could know what your mind was scared of, that you could stand in front of something frightening and not run. The stutter, the small frame, the missing father, none of it decided who you were. The gloves just made it easier to believe that. It was a Tuesday in late September when Tyler Grayson first showed up at Ridgeview Park. He rolled in with 4 friends, all in their early 20s. 2 carried gym bags slung over their shoulders like props. One had a speaker blasting music loud enough to rattle the chain-link fence around the courtsets. Tyler was 22, son of Councilman Walter Grayson, a name that opened doors, closed complaints, and made police reports vanish. Tyler had never worked a day in his life, never needed to. Most of his time went into making content for his social media page. Pranks, mostly, the kind aimed at people who couldn't fight back, homeless men, old women waiting at bus stops. He called it comedy. His 200,000 followers agreed. Marcus had never much cared for phones or the endless chatter people fed into them, so he had no idea, not yet, that his quiet corner of the park was about to become the exact opposite of quiet. That morning, Marcus was teaching Malik to bring his guard back up fast after a jab. "The punch that hurts you is the one you never see coming," he said. Malik threw the jab, pulled it back, cleaner every week. Tyler spotted them from across the park, an old black man in dark glasses teaching a skinny kid to box on cracked concrete with taped-up gloves. "Yo, check this out," Tyler said to the friend holding the phone. "This is gold." They walked over. Tyler kicked the canvas bag. Gloves and wraps spilled across the ground. "What is this, a homeless gym?" Tyler said. His friends laughed. The phone was already recording. Marcus didn't look up. He put a hand on Malik's shoulder. "Pick up your gloves, son. Hey, I'm talking to you." Tyler stepped between them. "You got a permit for this? Can't just set up camp in a public park." Marcus looked at him with his one good eye, calm and measured, the way a man looks at something he's seen 100 times. "You were just training," he said quietly. "Training?" Tyler grinned at the camera. "Training for what? The retirement home Olympics?" More laughter. Malik's hands were shaking, and not from the cold. Marcus packed the gloves back into the bag, took Malik's hand. "Come on," he said. "We'll come back tomorrow." They walked away, Tyler's laughter trailing them all the way to the sidewalk. Marcus came back the next morning. So did Tyler. This time with a water bottle, not to drink. He waited until Marcus was showing Malik how to pivot off the back foot, then caught up behind him and dumped the entire bottle over his head. The water ran down Marcus's face, dripped off his chin, soaked through his collar. His dark glasses fogged over. He stood perfectly still. Taylor's friends screamed with laughter, 2 phones now recording. One of them yelled, "Baptized him." "Still here?" Tyler said. "He thought I told you to crawl on home." Marcus wiped his face with his sleeve, took off the glasses, cleaned them on his shirt, put them back on. "Malik," he said quietly, "show me that pivot again." Malik was frozen, eyes wide, lips pressed shut so the stutter wouldn't escape. "It's all right," Marcus said. "Show me." Malik pivoted. His feet were perfect. His hands were shaking. Tyler watched them for another 10 minutes, got bored, and left. But he posted the clip that night. Caption: "Old blind man gets baptized in the park." 14,000 likes by morning. 300 comments, most of them laughing. He came back Thursday. This time he went straight for the canvas bag and pulled out Marcus's old gloves. The ones with cracked leather and frayed laces. The pair Marcus had owned since 1979. The ones Grace used to keep polished on the mantle like a trophy, long after he'd stopped fighting. Tyler held them up to the camera. "Look at these museum pieces." He tossed one to a friend, and they played catch with them across the court while Marcus watched. "Give those back," Marcus said, voice even, jaw tight. "Or what?" Tyler dangled a glove over a trash can. "You want it? Come get it, old man." Marcus didn't move. Tyler dropped one glove in the trash, then the other. "There," Tyler said. "Now you match the rest of the garbage out here." Marcus said nothing. He turned to Malik. "Let's call it a day." That night, Marcus dug the gloves out of the trash at 10 p.m. Under a streetlight, sat on his porch, and cleaned them with a damp cloth for an hour, rubbing the leather the way Grace used to. His hands were steady. His breathing was not. The following Monday, Tyler brought spray paint. Marcus arrived at 7 as usual. Malik was already waiting by the bench, their bench, under the oak tree, but something was different. Malik was standing next to it, not sitting. Marcus walked closer and saw it. The word blind sprayed across the seat in white paint, and below it, smaller, go home. Malik looked up at him. Mr. Marcus, who did this? The stutter was back. 3 months of progress undone in 2 words. Marcus didn't answer. He set his bag down and sat right on top of the paint anyway. Come on, he said. Let's work on your cross today. But Tyler wasn't finished. From his side of things, this was the best content he'd ever made. The water clip had outperformed everything on his page, and his followers wanted more. Comments said things like, do it again, and make the old man cry. A friend suggested finding someone else, but Tyler refused. He liked Marcus specifically, because Marcus never reacted. The non-reaction was the content. His silence was the joke. Tyler also knew something the rest of the park didn't. His father was Councilman Walter Grayson, 3 terms on the city council, chair of the Public Safety Committee. Every officer in the precinct knew that name. 2 complaints about Tyler's behavior in the park had already been filed, both quietly buried at the bottom of the pile, one gone entirely. Tyler could do whatever he wanted, and he knew it. The neighbors knew it, too. Mrs. Delgado watched from her window every morning. She saw the water, the gloves in the trash, the spray paint. Twice she picked up the phone to call the precinct, and twice she put it back down. What's the point? She told her daughter. His father runs the whole thing. Andre's mother pulled him out of the group after the water clip went viral. They can't have my son near that, she said. Meaning not Marcus, that followed him for refusing to leave. Anya's father did the same. Find somewhere else to play, he told her. She cried for 2 days. Within a week, only Malik was left. His grandmother didn't have the option of somewhere else. She worked 6 to 4, and the park was it. Every morning, Marcus showed up. Every morning, Malik showed up. Every morning, Tyler showed up. And every night, Marcus sat alone in his garage in the dark. Heavy bag hung from the ceiling beam, the same one hung in 1986, when he still thought he might return to the ring. He hadn't touched it in 30 years, but now his hands found it in the dark. Left jab, right cross, left hook. The bag swung, and he caught it. The rhythm came back like breathing. His right eye saw nothing. His hands remembered everything. He hit the bag for an hour, then 2, then 3, and never told a soul, not Malik, not Mrs. Delgado, not Grace's memory, whose roses he still watered every morning before the walk to the park. Something inside Marcus Bell was waking up, and it scared him more than Tyler ever could. The whole block saw it happening. Nobody stepped in. Not because they didn't care. They'd all just done the math. And that math left a 74-year-old man and a 10-year-old boy standing alone every morning. It's hard to say I'd have done any different. It was a Wednesday night when Marcus stopped pretending. He stood in the garage, wrapping his hands the old way. 2 loops around the wrist, 3 across the knuckles, pulled tight between each finger. Otis Reeves's method. 50 years later, his hands still knew the pattern in the dark. He hit the bag differently that night. Not the slow, careful rhythm of a man remembering, but sharp, precise combinations he hadn't thrown since the middleweight finals in Atlantic City. Jab, jab, cross, hook to the body, uppercut. The bag jumped on its chain. The ceiling beam groaned. His right eye was dead, but his left tracked the bag like a scope. His feet moved the way feet move after 10,000 rounds of shadow boxing. Muscle doesn't forget. Bone doesn't forget. The past doesn't forget. He stopped after midnight, sat on the concrete floor, hands throbbing, breathing hard, looking at the shoebox in the corner where Grace's scarf still wrapped the belt inside. I promised you, he whispered. I know I promised you. The next morning in the park, Malik asked the question. Mr. Marcus, why don't you ever fight back? Marcus looked at the boy, 10 years old, a split lip from the week before, when Tyler had shoved him into the drinking fountain, and still showing up every morning. Because I haven't decided yet, Marcus said. But he had. It happened on a Friday, October 9th, the kind of morning when the air smells like wet leaves, and the sky can't decide between gray and blue. Marcus and Malik were working combinations. Malik was getting good, genuinely good. His jab snapped now, instead of pushing. His cross came straight instead of looping. Then he moved, his feet stayed under him, just the way Marcus had taught. Left foot forward, right foot back. Protect what matters. That's it, Marcus said. Now again faster. Malik threw the combo. Jab, cross, pull back. He clean. Again, jab, cross, pull back. Even cleaner. Marcus almost smiled. 3 months of mornings and the kid was starting to look like a fighter. Not because he was big or strong, but because he was precise. Because he listened. Because every single morning he showed up, put his hands out, and let Marcus wrap them without a word. That was the morning Tyler Grayson decided to make his masterpiece. He arrived at 8:15 with 5 friends instead of 4. One new face carrying a ring light clipped to his phone, a full professional setup. Tyler had announced it the night before. Tomorrow we finish this, live from Ridgeview Park. Don't miss it. 11,000 people were already watching the stream when they walked through the gate. Tyler crossed the basketball court and headed straight for the oak tree. Marcus saw him coming and put a hand on Malik's shoulder. "Stay behind me," he said. "Well, well," Tyler said, loud enough for the stream. "The blind museum's still open." He looked into the camera. "You guys watching? Watch this." Tyler reached down and snatched the gloves off Malik's hands. Malik stumbled backward. "Give those back," Marcus said. "Shut up." Tyler tossed the gloves to a friend, then turned to Malik. "You know what your problem is, kid? You've got nobody. Your dad's in jail, your mom's gone, and your coach can't even see straight." He bent down to the boy's level. "You're nothing, just like him." Malik's lip trembled. He said nothing at all. The stutter had swallowed everything. "Leave the boy alone," Marcus said, low, the kind of low that sounds like a warning if you know how to listen. Taylor didn't. Or what? He straightened up, grinned at the camera, then shoved Malik, both hands, full force, into a 10-year-old's chest. Malik flew backward, hit the edge of the concrete where the roots had cracked it, and went down hard. His head bounced off the ground. Blood appeared on his forehead, a thin line first, then it ran down past his eyebrow and into his eye. Malik didn't cry. He just lay there, looking up at Marcus, with one eye open and one full of blood, like a mirror. The stream had 16,000 viewers now. Marcus looked down at Malik, at the blood, at the Douglas hands still curled into fists, even still in guard position, still protecting what mattered. Something shifted behind Marcus's eyes, not anger, something older than anger. Something that had been asleep in a garage for 30 years and was now fully, completely awake. Marcus took off his dark glasses, folded them, set them on the bench. He turned to Tyler. "You sure about that, son?" The same words from the park bench weeks earlier, but the voice was different now. No trembling, no patience, no old man in it. Tyler laughed. "What are you going to do, Grandpa? Bleed on me?" He threw a punch, a lazy, wide right hand, the kind thrown by someone who's never been hit back, all arm, no foundation, no guard. Marcus slipped it, 2 inches to the left, no more, no less. The movement was so fast, Tyler's fist caught nothing but air. His momentum carried him forward, off balance, eyes wide, the first flash of fear on his face. Marcus's left jab landed before Tyler could reset, straight down the center, clean. The sound wasn't a thud, it was a crack. Tyler did snap back, his nose shifted 1/2 inch to the right. He staggered, hands coming up too late and too high. Marcus's right cross came underneath, into the solar plexus. Every molecule of air left Tyler's lungs in one sound. His mouth opened, nothing came out. Then the uppercut. Marcus planted his back foot, rotated his hips the way Otis Reeves had taught him in that basement decades ago, and drove his right fist upward from his waist. It connected under Tyler's chin with the precision of a man who had thrown that exact punch 10,000 times. In the ring, in the garage, in his sleep. Tyler left the ground, both feet, just for a second, then hit the concrete face first, and didn't move. 3 punches. 5 seconds. 46 years of silence, broken in 5 seconds. The park went quiet. 16,000 people on the stream went quiet. Tyler's friends went quiet. The one holding the ring light hadn't moved. The phone was still recording. Marcus stood over Tyler, hands shaking now. Not from exhaustion, but from the flood of something he'd spent 30 years trying to bury. He looked at his fists, opened them, closed them, opened them again. Then he turned, walked to Malik, and knelt down, pressing his palm gently against the cut on the boy's forehead. These same hands that had just put a 22-year-old on the ground were now holding a 10-year-old's face like it was made of glass. "You okay?" he asked. Malik nodded, eyes wide, not afraid, something else. "Mr. Marcus," he whispered, "you can fight." Marcus lifted the boy, set him on the bench, wrapped his forehead with the old hand wraps from the canvas bag, then sat beside him and put an arm around his shoulders. There was nothing left to say. Across the park, Tyler Grayson was being helped to his feet, nose bleeding, jaw hanging slightly open on one side. The ring light was still on. The stream had captured all 22 minutes. Within the hour, the clip of the 3 punches had been cut and shared everywhere. By noon, it had 4 million views. By the next morning, 40 million. The comments came in waves. "Who is this old man? Footwork isn't a Street Fighter's. Somebody ID this guy." The hashtag started small, Park Knockout, but by evening it had been replaced by something else entirely, Blind Champion. Somewhere across town, a 68-year-old retired sports journalist named Frank Delaney watched the clip for the 11th time. He paused it on the uppercut, zoomed in on the footwork, the pivot, the hip rotation. He knew that technique. He'd seen it exactly once before, 30 years earlier, in a ring, from a fighter they'd called the Shadow. Frank picked up his phone. Councilman Walter Grayson saw the video at 9 Line A Saturday. His chief of staff sent it with one line. "This is your son." Grayson watched it twice, closed his office door, and made 4 calls. To the police chief, a man who owed his post to Grayson's endorsement, to the district attorney's office, to a media consultant who'd run 3 of his campaigns, and to his personal attorney. The Sunday evening, Marcus Bell had been charged with aggravated assault. The arrest came at 6 a.m. Monday. 2 officers knocked on Marcus's door. He opened it, already dressed for the park. Canvas jacket, dark glasses, the bag of gloves sitting by the door, ready for the morning session. "Mr. Bell, you're under arrest for the assault of Tyler Grayson." Marcus didn't resist. He set the bag on the porch, took off his glasses, and held out his wrists. Mrs. Delgado watched from her window as they cuffed a 74-year-old man at sunrise. She called her daughter and cried for 20 minutes. Grayson held a press conference that afternoon, suit pressed, flag pin on his lapel, standing at a podium at City Hall with Tyler beside him, jaw wired shut, neck brace, arm in a sling. Cameras loved it, a father protecting his injured son. "My son was violently attacked by an unhinged individual in a public park," Grayson said. Tyler is 22 years old. He suffered a broken nose, a dislocated jaw, and a concussion. This was not self-defense. This was a brutal, unprovoked assault by someone who clearly has a history of violence. He paused, looked at his notes, looked back up with practiced grief. He asking the DA to pursue the maximum sentence. No one, regardless of age, has the right to put their hands on another person. We are a city of laws. No reporter asked about Malik. No reporter asked about the 20 minutes of harassment that came before the 3 punches. Grayson's media consultant had already sent the press a carefully trimmed clip, 90 seconds long. Starting the instant, Marcus took off his glasses. Everything before that had been cut. The narrative was set. Cable news ran the clip under a new headline. "Elderly man viciously attacks youth in park." He slowed down the uppercut, zoomed in on Tyler hitting the concrete, showed his hospital photo, swollen face, neck brace, tubes. One anchor called Marcus, a ticking time bomb hiding in a public space. Nobody showed Malik. Nobody mentioned the blood on a 10-year-old's forehead. Yet footage had been quietly filed as unverified by the Grayson legal team. The comment sections turned. Not all of them, but enough. The old man could have killed him. There's no excuse for that level of violence, but he needs to be in a facility. Why was he even around children? The same people who'd cheered Blind Champion on Friday were sharing concern pieces by Monday. A petition appeared online. Remove dangerous individuals from Ridgeview Park. It had 8 signatures by Tuesday. Marcus was released on bail Tuesday morning. His public defender, a young woman named Diane Coleman with 43 active cases and a desk buried in folders, told him the situation was serious. The DA's pushing for felony assault. Councilman Grayson is leaning on the judge. They want to make an example. An example of what? Marcus asked. Of you, she said. They're saying you're dangerous, that you use trained fighting skills against an unarmed person, which makes it aggravated. Marcus sat in silence for a long moment, then asked, "What about the boy? What about what Tyler did to Malik?" Diane looked down at her desk. The Grayson family hasn't been charged with anything. Tyler's statement says he was trying to mediate a dispute when you attacked him without warning. It's a lie, I know. But they have a councilman, a media team, and a DA who plays golf with Walter Grayson every Thursday. You have a viral clip that half the country now thinks shows an old man beating up a kid. He's 22. He on camera, with a neck brace, he looks 18. That's all that matters to people scrolling past. A restraining order was filed Wednesday, barring Marcus from coming within 500 feet of Ridgeview Park, signed by Judge Harold Vance, the same judge who'd attended one of Grayson's fundraiser dinners 3 months earlier. That evening, someone threw a rock through Marcus's front window. No note, no face. Just a fist-sized hole in the glass, and shards scattered across Grace's rug. Marcus swept it up in silence, taped cardboard over the hole, and sat on the couch in the dark. He couldn't go to the park. He couldn't see Malik. He couldn't do the one thing that had given his mornings meaning since Grace died. The canvas bag sat by the door, like a promise he could no longer keep. Malik's grandmother called that night, her voice thin. "Mr. Bell, I don't know what to do. Malik won't eat. He won't talk. He just sits by the window, looking at the park. He wrapped his own hands this morning. He's just sat there with his fists up, hitting the air." "Tell him I'll be back," Marcus said. "When?" He didn't answer. He didn't know. The next morning, Marcus woke at 7 out of habit, got dressed, picked up the bag, walked to the front door, stopped, set the bag back down, and sat on the porch instead. He did the same the next morning, and the next, and the next. On the fourth morning, he found Malik sitting on his front steps. The boy had walked 11 blocks alone before sunrise to find him, his hands already wrapped badly, lopsided, tape bunching between his fingers, the way a 10-year-old wraps his own hands when his coach isn't there. "Mr. Marcus," Malik said, "I don't want to stop." Marcus looked at the boy, split lip still healing, dark circles under his eyes, but his fists up, guard position, protecting what mattered. Marcus knelt down, unwrapped the boy's hands, and rewrapped them properly. 2 loops around the wrist, 3 across the knuckles, pulled tight between each finger, Otis Reeves's method, the same way he'd done it for 50 years. "We're not stopping," he said. They trained on Marcus's porch that morning. No oak tree, no cracked concrete, no bag of gear, just an old man, a boy, and a pair of gloves that had survived everything the world had thrown at them. He'd taken his park, thrown a rock through his window, and still a 10-year-old walked 11 blocks in the dark, just to say, "Don't quit." He won't pretend that doesn't get to me. Who shows up for you like that? Frank Delaney had covered boxing for 41 years, ringside seats, press row in Atlantic City. He'd watched 400 professional fights in person and written about 300 of them. He knew fighters the way a piano tuner knows pianos, not by looking at them, but by listening to how they moved. He watched the Ridgeview Park clip for the 14th time on a Wednesday evening. His wife called him to dinner, and he didn't hear her. It was the uppercut that wouldn't let him go, not the power, though the power was real. It was the setup. The way the old man planted his back foot at exactly 45 degrees. The way his hips turned before his arm ever moved. The way the fist traveled up from the waist, not the shoulder. That wasn't a street fighter's uppercut. That was a trained, specific technique. One he'd seen exactly once before in his career. Atlantic City, 1984, a middleweight title fight. A fighter they called the Shadow. Frank pulled his archive, 41 years of notes, photos, fight cards, and clippings stored in filing cabinets in his basement. He found the folder in 20 minutes. Marcus the Shadow Bell, 23 fights, 23 wins, 15 knockouts, middleweight champion at 28. In nothing. The record simply stopped. No retirement announcement, no farewell fight. One day he was the most dangerous middleweight in the division. The next, gone. Frank remembered the rumors. An underground fight, an unlicensed bout, a serious injury. But nobody had ever confirmed it. The boxing commission had no record. The promoter was never identified. Marcus Bell had simply vanished, and the sport moved on. Frank looked at the viral clip again, paused at the moment Marcus took off his glasses, zoomed in on the right eye, clouded, unfocused, dead. A detached retina, the kind of injury that comes from a very specific kind of impact, the kind that ends careers. He called a source at the State Boxing Commission. "I need everything you have on unlicensed bouts in 1984, middleweight division, anything involving an eye injury." The source called back Thursday morning. "Nothing in the official record, but I found something in the complaint files." A sealed report. An anonymous complaint filed in March 1984 about an underground fight organized at a warehouse on Harbor Street. The complaint names a promoter, a guy named Walter Grayson. Frank sat down slowly. He read the name again, then looked back at the press conference footage from Monday. Councilman Walter Grayson, flag pin, "We are a city of laws." Same man. Frank drove out to Elmhurst Lane Thursday afternoon and knocked on Marcus's door. Marcus answered, dark glasses on, cardboard still taped over the broken window behind him. "Mr. Bell, my name is Frank Delaney. I'm a sports journalist. I covered your title fight in Atlantic City in 1984. Marcus didn't move, didn't speak, just stood in the doorway like a man, deciding whether to close it or step through. "I know who you are," Frank said. "I know what happened to your eye, and I think I know who did it." Marcus looked at him for a long moment, then stepped aside and let him in. They sat in the living room for 2 hours. Marcus told him everything. The warehouse on Harbor Street. The heavy weight outweighed him by 40 pounds. The illegal elbow, waking up in the hospital with one guy gone. The promoter who vanished overnight. The career that ended with no press conference, no farewell, no explanation, just silence. "He didn't know his name back then," Marcus said. "He was just a voice behind a curtain, never saw his face." "His name was Walter Grayson," Frank said. Marcus went quiet. He looked at the shoebox on the shelf, Grace's scarf still wrapped around the belt, hands flat and still on his knees. "And his son," he said slowly, "is the one in the park." "Yes." Marcus closed his eyes, one eye good, one eye dead. "Thief shut on me now." Frank spent the next 48 hours building the story, pulling county records, business filings, property deeds. In 1984, Walter Grayson was 29 years old, running an unlicensed boxing promotion out of a warehouse leased under a shell company. No referees, no doctors, no commission oversight. Fighters were paid in cash, no medical coverage, no liability. On March 14th, 1984, Marcus the Shadow Bell fought in one of those bouts. His opponent landed an illegal elbow that detached Marcus's retina. There was no ringside doctor. By the time Marcus reached the hospital, the damage was permanent. Grayson shut the operation down the following week, changed his name on the business filings, and moved into real estate, then local politics, then the city council. 3 terms as chair of the Public Safety Committee. The man who kept the city safe had once run the operation that destroyed a champion's career and left him half blind. And now his son had cornered that same champion in a park, poured water on his head, thrown his gloves in the trash, shoved a 10-year-old boy onto concrete, and when the champion finally fought back, 3 punches in 5 seconds, the councilman used every ounce of his power to bury him all over again. Frank published the story Friday morning, front page of the Courier's website. Headline, "The Shadow of Ridgeview Park, How a City Councilman Destroyed a Boxing Champion Twice." The article laid it all out, the sealed complaint, the warehouse address, the shell company, the 1984 medical records, side-by-side photos of Marcus at 28 holding the middleweight belt, and Marcus at 74 sitting on a park bench with spray paint behind him. The uppercut from the viral clip matched frame by frame against footage from the 1984 title fight. Identical technique, same fighter, 30 years apart. Walter Grayson read the article at 6 a.m. in his kitchen. His wife said his face went white. He called his attorney. No answer. He called his chief of staff. The chief of staff had already resigned by email at 5:45 a.m. 12 minutes after the article went live. The story hit 40 million views by Saturday night, twice the reach of the original clip. East's blind champion came roaring back, but this time it carried a different weight. This time, people told us. The old man in the park wasn't just a fighter. He was a man who'd been robbed of everything by the very same family, now trying to rob him again. The DA's office released a statement Saturday afternoon. In light of new evidence, the charges against Marcus Bell are under review. By Sunday morning, the restraining order had been suspended. By Sunday afternoon, the state attorney general's office had opened an investigation into Councilman Walter Grayson. Diane Coleman called Marcus at home. "Mr. Bell, have you seen the news?" "No," Marcus said. "TV's been off since Monday." The charges are being dropped. The DA just announced it, and the AG is looking into the councilman. All of it, the underground fights, the obstruction, everything. Marcus was quiet for a long time. "Mr. Bell, are you there?" "I'm here," he said. "Is it safe to go back to the park?" Diane laughed, the first time she'd laughed in weeks. "Yes," she said. "It's safe." Marcus hung up, walked to the front door, and picked up the canvas bag. The gloves were inside, cracked leather, frayed laces, 30 years of silence stitched into every seam. He walked out to the porch, looked at the cardboard still taped over the broken window, looked at Grace's roses, blooming late that year, but blooming all the same. He called Malik's grandmother. "Tell him to meet me at the park tomorrow, 7 o'clock, under the oak tree." The investigation moved fast, faster than anyone expected. The Attorney General's office subpoenaed Walter Grayson's financial records Monday. By Wednesday, they had the shell company filings, the warehouse lease, and bank statements showing cash payments to unlicensed fighters between 1982 and 1984. 14 fighters, no medical coverage, no insurance, no records filed with the State Boxing Commission. 3 of those fighters had suffered career-ending injuries. Marcus was one of them. The other 2 had never come forward. At Thursday, Walter Grayson was formally charged with racketeering, operating an unlicensed sporting event, and obstruction of justice, the last count tied to the 2 buried police complaints about Tyler. His sealed 1984 complaint was unsealed. His name was on every page. Grayson held no press conference this time, no flag pin, no podium. His attorney released a 2-sentence statement. Councilman Grayson denies all charges and looks forward to his day in court. By Friday, he had resigned from the city council, not voluntarily. Council voted unanimously to remove him. The man who'd chaired public safety for 3 terms was escorted out of City Hall by the same officers who'd once buried complaints on his behalf. Tyler Grayson was charged separately. Assault on a minor for shoving Malik, harassment, and criminal mischief for the spray paint and property damage. His social media account was suspended. His 200,000 followers watched his final video, the live stream from the park, get pulled by the platform. The comments underneath it, before it vanished, were nothing but blind champion and justice for Marcus. Tyler's friends were charged as accessories. The one who'd carried the ring light deleted his account. It didn't matter. The footage was already everywhere. The boxing community found Marcus before the courts finished with him. It started with a call from the sports governing federation, then the hall, then fighters, active and retired, who'd grown up whispers about the shadow, the middleweight who vanished, the champion with no farewell fight. They'd all watched the clip. They'd all read Frank's article. They all wanted the same thing, to acknowledge what had been stolen. The Federation issued a formal statement recognizing Marcus, the Shadow Bell's career record, 23 fights, 23 wins, 15 knockouts, and condemning the circumstances that ended it, calling the underground bout a criminal act that robbed the sport of one of its finest competitors. 3 former middleweight champions recorded video tributes. One of them, a man named Miguel Torres, who'd held the belt 2 years after Marcus lost his eye, said something that went viral on its own. "I always wondered who the Shadow was. Now I know. and I wish I could have fought him. I think he'd have beaten me. Frank published a follow-up piece the next week. No investigation this time, just a profile. He spent a morning on Marcus's porch, watching him teach Malik, the canvas bag between them, the old gloves resting on the railing. "Do you feel vindicated?" Frank asked. Marcus thought about it. "I feel tired," he said, "but the good kind." The neighbors came back first, one by one, the way people do when shame finally catches up with silence. Mrs. Delgado brought a casserole and an apology, standing on Marcus's porch with tears running down her face. "I should have called. He should have done something." Marcus took the casserole. "You're here now," he said. "That counts." Andre's mother brought him back to the group. So did Tanya's father. Within a week, Marcus had 9 kids showing up every morning, then 12, then 15. Parents started staying to watch. Some brought folding chairs. One brought a table with water bottles and orange slices, like it was a real gym now. The city council, now down 1 member, passed a resolution the following month. Ridgeview Park would get funding for a permanent community boxing program, new equipment, a covered training area near the oak tree, licensed coaches, free for every kid under 16. They asked Marcus what to call it. He didn't hesitate. "The Grace Spell Boxing Program," he said, "after my wife. She's the reason I kept my hands down for 30 years, and she's the reason I finally put them back up." Marcus Bell walked back into Ridgeview Park on a Tuesday morning in November, 7 sharp canvas bag over his shoulder, dark glasses on, new ones this time, paid for by a boxing fan in Detroit, who'd mailed them with a handwritten note, "For the Shadow. Welcome back." Malik was already there, sitting on the bench under the oak tree, hands wrapped, fists up, waiting. Marcus set the bag down and looked at the bench. The spray paint was gone. Someone had sanded it clean and repainted it. A small brass plaque had been screwed into the backrest. It read, "This bench belongs to Marcus Bell and everyone he teaches. He never found out who put it there." "Mr. Marcus," Malik said, smiling. The stutter still there, but the smile bigger than the stutter now. "You ready?" Asked. "Yes, sir. Show me your jab." Malik threw it. Snap straight, pull back. Clean. Again, snap cleaner still. The morning light came through the oak leaves and landed on the cracked concrete like a spotlight. The other kids arrived one by one. Andre first, then Tanya, then new faces Marcus had never seen. Some came with parents, some came alone. One boy walked 3 miles from the east side because he'd seen the video and wanted to learn to stand like that. Marcus taught them all the same way, one piece at a time. Plant your feet, hands up, protect what matters. The Grace Bell boxing program officially launched that December. The city provided heavy bags, speed bags, jump ropes, and a covered pavilion beside the oak tree. 2 licensed coaches volunteered, both former amateur champions who'd followed the story. Marcus wasn't technically a coach on paper, no certification, but every morning he was there, and every morning the licensed coaches stepped back and let him work. Nobody questioned it, nobody needed to. Frank Delaney visited one last time, bringing a photographer. The photo that ran with his final piece became the most shared image in the Courier's history. Marcus Bell, 4 years old, kneeling on cracked concrete, wrapping a 10-year-old boy's hands. One good eye looking down at the tape, one dead eye facing the camera, and behind them, 15 kids in a line, fists up, guard position, learning to protect what mattered. The headline was simple: "The Shadow found his way home." Walter Grayson's trial was set for March. Tyler Grayson pleaded no contest to assault and harassment charges and was sentenced to 200 hours of community service and a 3-year restraining order from Ridgeview Park. His social media account never came back. His followers moved on. The internet forgot him, the way it forgets everyone who was never worth remembering in the first place. Nobody forgot Marcus. 6 months after the program launched, Malik entered his first amateur boxing match, a youth exhibition at the community center. He was 10 years old, 42 pounds lighter than his opponent, and so nervous his hands shook in the locker room. Marcus wrapped them, 2 loops around the wrist, 3 across the knuckles, pulled tight between each finger. "Scared?" Marcus asked. Malik nodded. "Good," Marcus said. Scared means you care. Now plant your feet. Malik walked into the ring, left foot forward, right foot back, hands up. He won in the second round, a clean cross to the body that dropped his opponent to one knee. The crowd stood. Malik's grandmother screamed so loud the referee turned around. Malik looked across the ring at Marcus. Marcus nodded once. That was enough. Outside the community center, Grace's roses were blooming early that year. Marcus noticed them on the walk home, stopped, touched one of the petals, smiled, and kept walking. If this story moved you, drop a comment and tell me who in your life kept showing up for you even when nobody else did. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And before you go, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, tap that like button, and leave a comment below. It helps more than you know, and it means you won't miss what's coming next.